Hello and welcome to another round of highly questionable things. No one more highly questionable than this guy, Izzy Gutierrez. What do you like on the show today, Izzy?
Toronto.
Oh, come on, papi.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Dale, papi.
Does a Kawhi DeRozan swap make sense if both players are unhappy?
He will not call you Kawhi now that you're not coming to Miami. You remain Kawhi forevermore, no matter where you play, if it's not Miami. But we're in one of these situations where the San Antonio Spurs had to get values on the dollar. And the way that they got value on the dollar is, if I asked you, what's a player that is slightly less than Kawhi Leonard? You'd say it's DeMar DeRozan. They got a star back for Kawhi Leonard when they had to trade Kawhi Leonard, so it's a good trade for them. And it's great for Toronto because not only do they get Kawhi Leonard, even though he's unhappy now, they get Kawhi Leonard and keep him away from Philadelphia and Boston in the Eastern Conference. He plays for you next year, and you're playing for next year with a player who is going to make you the best player in the East.
I was so sure you were going to go with he's a Canadian now, but that was probably someone we should have saved for your dad. Here's the thing, from the Toronto angle, I think it's a great move. I think you almost have to do this because you have a couple of options. You can stay with the team you have, maybe make a couple of minor changes with a new coach, and hope to sort of recreate what you did last year as a #1 seed, and then assume that because LeBron's not there, you can possibly beat the Celtics or the Sixers or whoever's in front of you to get to the finals. Or you could take this version of the team with Kawhi Leonard, with a bigger superstar than DeMar DeRozan is, and almost certainly give you that chance, that different look. And as you go through the Eastern Conference, you never know what's going to happen with Boston, obviously with their health. You never know what's going to happen with the Sixers. And if you make it to the finals one year and Kawhi still leaves, heck, these Raptor fans have to be satisfied that you're taking the big swings.
Here's what we know about the Raptors. The way they're built is not good enough, and their two best players weren't good enough. They needed a player better than their two best players. They just got one of them, but they had to get rid of one of them to get him.
What I find super interesting is how people are looking at the Spurs now, sort of a team that lost a superstar. Everything seemed to be perfect under there. Now Popovich isn't enough to keep Kawhi there. R.C. Buford and that whole front office isn't enough to keep Kawhi there. But they got a player in DeMar DeRozan who Popovich can mold, can make into potentially a better defender, can make him more of today's NBA player by convincing him to shoot more threes. But he can create, which is something that team hadn't had since Kawhi Leonard got hurt. And I think that team could still win 50 to 55 games. And have two all-stars in DeRozan and Aldridge, and all of a sudden you're looking at the Spurs as being a franchise that's just fine.
You're not happy with that trade? You know what you do, Kawhi? You felt the physical. That's all.
That's right.
That's right. That's what you got to do.
You go in there limping, you knock something over, you yell at the training staff. Just fail the physical.
Does Manny Machado make the Dodgers the National League favorites?
Not if the Astros were still in the National League the way that I remember it. But because you can get Manny Machado at a time that everyone wants Manny Machado, and you're already the Dodgers, who were plenty good enough last year to win the World Series if they had just gotten a couple of breaks down the road, then getting someone who is 26 years old, you floozy.
What do you make of Josh Hader's old tweets and his apology?
I am not comfortable with the amount of rummaging that we are doing in the lives of 17-year-olds who are being stupid on social media 7 years ago. But here we go into the past, and this hate shouldn't be allowed. It's not okay. It's not excused because you're 17 years old, but white power, LOL, KKK, and all of this, I hate gay people, obviously shouldn't be doing any of that. But I'm also, as I said, not here for the idea that we're not going to shame this person for things that he did as a 17-year-old as he's a professional. For me, the apology is enough.
To me, this is just more of a teachable moment, if you will. The apology is one thing, but I do think he needs to show, whether it be his teammates or others in the community around him, that he can even take it a step further and say, I am not that person anymore. I am now this person. And maybe he has changed, or maybe some of that would help. But I agree with you in that I think it was a dumb kid, and saying things that the people around him say and feeling entitled because of that, and social media being relatively new, you had no idea if that stuff was coming back to haunt you. But in terms of some of the things he said, I hate gay people. He doesn't hate gay people. He doesn't know me. We've never met. I guarantee you he'd like me. So a lot of the things that he said, yeah, ridiculous, childish, but I do think more than the apology, he probably needs to show the people around him that he is a changed person.
Is Rob Manfred right that it is on Mike Trout to market himself?
One of baseball's problems, and by subsequently Rob Manfred's problems, is that their biggest star, Mike Trout, their best player, isn't actually a star because he's kind of boring and he's not terribly interested in doing all the endorsement stuff. Baseball has largely become a regional sport. The way to be a star in that regional sport is now, again, like in the olden days, play in New York. If Mike Trout played in New York, we'd be talking about him the way we talk about Aaron Judge. But because of how baseball has changed over the years, what Rob Manfred sees right now is he's blaming something on Mike Trout that is his own fault.
And that's exactly where I have a problem with this. He can be right in everything that he said because it does take the player to want to have to market himself in order to have that type of publicity. But if this is your best player and you're calling him out like that, it's what it feels like to me anyway, I think that's the wrong thing to do. So what if he wants to be Tim Duncan? He wants to be the great player who's just in the shadows a little bit. They play 162 games in the regular season. How much time does he have to do all these other things?
Here's another problem that baseball has, though, because of the culture, because it's not as free-spirited as the NBA. Fame is not a menu item. Kawhi Leonard is famous. Why? Because you're seeing, even in no personality, that his interests have some personality. Kawhi Leonard doesn't get to choose the way fame greets him. Neither does Mike Trout. This is a baseball problem, not a Trout problem.
Baseball has other reasons to be part of this, too, to be responsible for this. I mean, it's a team in Anaheim, which they probably shouldn't have put there, given that it's under the shadow of Los Angeles. And if he was just playing an hour north, he'd probably be a bigger star just by the nature of where he plays. As he said, if he was in New York, he'd be a huge star. Aaron Judge, he's a big star. We barely got to know him.
Well, I know Mike Trout. Who the hell is Rob Manfred?
Oh, wow. Okay. There, I mean, okay. Fair point.
He's a nobody, too.
Fair point.
Is Todd Gurley right to be jealous of NBA money?
If you are the running back for the LA Rams, you specifically that way, a lot of carries, a lot of touches, a lot of thrown balls, you know that you are disposable and you are using up the miles to make money that your body has in it. You're going to use them up very quickly. So, of course, you want guaranteed money. You want guaranteed money because across the street in Los Angeles, Clayton Kershaw is making a lot more money than you. All of it is guaranteed. And if his body breaks down in a sport where it's less likely to violently break down, you've got a situation where he's looking at this and saying, look, DeMarco Murray just retired at 30 years old. We've got to get our money when we can.
The element of their bodies breaking down on top of not having guaranteed money has to be even more laughable when you think about, oh, I don't know, CP3, Chris Paul, whose body breaks down every postseason, just signed for $160 million. Yes, I understand their frustration. I understand their jealousy. I'd argue that it's more difficult to be an NBA player just because of the facts. Probably height plays a factor. There's less players involved, so the numbers are slimmer. But the gap in terms of what you are as an entertainment value, one versus the other, is not that huge. In fact, it could be more of an NFL thing than an NBA thing.
So this guy makes $2.5 million a year. And Melo makes 28.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
I see some disparity there.
Yeah, a slight disparity. Tobias Harris makes $15 million a year, he was just saying.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
The train in New York, a subway.
No, it's just a New Yorker.
Oh,
Yep.
It's just a rude New Yorker. What? What? You were expecting? Oh.
You know the answer is yes.
Oh, no, the first kid's going to just get, yeah, that, of course, that's going to happen. And it's going to happen worse to the second kid.
Time to play the game that smells like French toast. Do you question?
You give us topics and events, we question them. Is that what your French toast smells like?
Smells
Yes,
delicious, delicious.
Do you question who is the best running back in the SEC?
The guy returning with 1,300 yards in his last season is Benny Snell from Kentucky, and nobody's returning with more yards than that. What happened at SEC Media Day?
Who's the best running back in 2018?
Best running back of 2018 is Benny Snell Jr.
All right, you say that. You got your mean mugger right there at the camera. Why is that? Tell me on why you are the best one here in this conference.
Benny Snell's the best running back because he's durable. I can get 200. He can get 200 plus carries.
My man, are you going third? Is it third person on me?
That's third person. He can get 200 plus carries and still be able to finish the season. Eastern Kentucky, he broke his rib and was able to finish the game with still scoring a touchdown. Back-to-back 1,000 yards rushers, as well as being amongst the numbers with Leonard Fournette, Herschel Walker, those guys. But he's a great he has a great work ethic. He's all right so far. He hasn't got the attention he needed, so he's okay.
That's the same analysis I have of him. He's okay. He really needs to work on that polish, if you will. And if you're a running back for Kentucky, it doesn't matter how many yards you got. You got to do stuff like that to get attention. So keep working on that.
I am here, though, for athletes now doing their interviews as someone else on behalf of Hype Man as the athlete. If we want to change the way the interviews are done, this is a good way to start. What happened?
What's going on?
Can't believe this. Kentucky has a football team.
Wow, yes, he had to go deep into his research notes, too, yeah.
As a Gator, I've been trying to ask the same question.
It's been a long time since they had any plays you remember.
Do you question why he needed to take the train?
Why? Who needed to take the train? Is it someone chasing a train? Is it someone on a train? Let's check in with a train in New York, a subway.
No, it's just a New Yorker.
Oh,
Yep.
It's just a rude New Yorker. What? What? You were expecting? Oh, look at that woman's face.
Oh, well, she's angry. I believe he told her, there's another door. Why in the world would you need to do this? Is this how he gets gas? If he's out of gas, you take the subway to the gas station?
Thank you for zooming in on her face. I was just going to ask you to zoom in on the amount of hatred she feels in her heart for that obnoxious bleep hole on a motorcycle.
She's questioning everything about where she's living right now with that face.
It was so much better in Des Moines.
I know someone else wasn't happy with that guy.
Who's that? Oh, that's right. Thank you. This was not photoshopped at all. This is how Phil Jackson is spending his days here, much like he did as an executive for the Knicks.
Where's the rest of Phil's leg?
It got eaten by the front of that guy's motorcycle.
Do you question if Justin Verlander is psych?
Oh, psychic is the word. I don't know if he's psyched about anything. Psychic is the word. So let's check in with his Instagram account last night. The giant guy's going to do it.
Let me show you how that's done here. Oh, I have a feeling in the future Poppy will get somebody on the fake handshake. Yeah, just keep watching. It's going to happen.
Keep watching. Keep watching.
Do you question if the second kid should have learned from the first kid?
Finally, we're doing the kind of show I imagined we'd be doing. We go out to a playground in Sweden. What do we have here? Should the second kid have learned from the first kid?
You know the answer is yes.
Oh, no, the first kid's going to just get... Yeah, that, of course that's going to happen. And it's going to happen worse to the second kid. Yeah, there it is. Yes, of course it is.
Why do they have these things on a playground? That does not look safe whatsoever.
Slightly unsafe. Not pictured. The third kid. See you later, everybody.
Isaiah Thomas.
You know, when you were a kid, if you had grabbed that thing going around, you know, it would have stopped right there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
would have.
That's right.
That's right. I would have just stopped it right there. Would have broken with a groaning creak.
Dan gets on first, holds it still, then the other kids jump on, then he lets go.
That's